stay there for the duration. You're the one in charge of that fire panel. So, and we've had a couple here lately where we've been announcing the fire location before we're silencing the alarms. We want to make sure the first thing you do is you look and see where the fire's at, and then silence the alarms and announce the location, because most people can't hear where the fire's located over the sound of those alarms. That's why we silence them first. If it's an actual drill, they know it down at the sheriff's office, because I call them ahead of time so they don't send the fire department. So we don't need to call them until we've gotten the all clear or we've actually found a fire. But in the event that it is a real fire, they're going to be here anyway, because I wouldn't have called them. Once the fire is found, the person that found the fire needs to go immediately to the nearest phone and announce all clear if it's a drill, or what they need if it is an actual fire. So just make sure that we get that done, because then people know they're not supposed to still be looking for the fire. All employees, if you're here working, you're supposed to participate and actively seek the fire. So out in reception, they're a little different, because they're going to check their area and then they're going to control access through those doors. People are going to be dropping off from X-ray and controlling those doors, because we don't want people coming in during the drill or the fire. So the way we do ours, we run 3 shifts. So we're going to have each quarter 3 drills. So one time within 3 months, each shift's going to have a fire drill. That's the way that works. They want you to have every employee to get hit 4 times a year. That's nearly impossible, because we have some people that just work weekends. We have some people that just work once a month. It's just kind of hard to do. Any questions on fire?
If we have a patient or clinic full of patients and we have that tornado warning, do they also have to sign with the sheet so we know if they're here or not?
Yes. Okay, so the new fund for this year is starting November 1st, which was a few days ago. CMS adopted the new life safety code. The fire marshal's office, as of yet, has not adopted it because they haven't been trained on it. So they're hoping to adopt it by spring of 2017. The site visits from CMS, though, are going to be conducted off of the 2012 edition of Life Safety Code. They just adopted from what they were using of the 2000 edition, with some changes. They didn't adopt everything because they didn't like it all. So. And the way it works when they decide to do new life safety codes is the Nebraska State's Fire Marshal's Office works with Health and Human Services and CMS, and they survey and inspect healthcare facilities across the state, hospitals, nursing homes, ambulatory surgical centers. They're all the site visits are a little bit different. Nursing homes and long-term care facilities, they get every year. Hospitals are about every 3 to 5 years, depending on how many people they have to get around. Hospitals are inspected for a state license by the State Fire Marshal's Office, and that has to be done every 18 months. They used to go every year, now it's every 18 months. So what it all involves when they adopt those new codes is the Governor, Attorney General, Secretary of State, Legislature all have to give their blessing on that. Then there's a public hearing to get public opinion on it, and then it can be adopted, and the fire marshal's office is hoping to have that done by the spring of 2017. Some of the changes, under the 2000 code, almost all of your construction was required to meet new construction requirements. Now they've written it in there to where if you're doing small enough spaces, say like just 1 or 2 rooms, or say like this conference room, you can go under what is called building rehabilitation, and it doesn't have to meet new building codes. So that's kind of nice for us, because it's kind of hard for us to meet some of those as small as we are. If you are a medical clinic and you have ambulatory care facilities, and you're connected to a healthcare occupancy, but your patients are all capable of self-preservation, you do not have to meet life safety codes. You have to be separated by a 2-hour fire wall, and then it's basically a business occupancy, which is a lot different than a healthcare occupancy. Another new thing, which we might get into with our new wing when we build it, is before you could not have sliding doors as a means of egress out of a suite or a corridor. Now they're allowing that. So probably see a lot more of that. The corridor projections, the new 2012 code says that if it sticks out more than 6 inches, you can't have it. If it's 6 inches or less, and it's a non-continuous, which means it's just like a little, say like this, if it's 6 inches, then you could have it. But it has to be above handrail height, and I believe they said it can't be over 2 foot long, is what they told me. The new one also is wheeled equipment is permitted in the corridors. Your corridor still has to be 8 foot wide to start with, and anything you have in there, lifts or wheelchairs or whatever, can't reduce the width of that corridor below 5 feet. Your fire safety plan has to address the relocation of these carts or wheelchairs in an emergency, which means if you have them out there and you have a fire drill or a tornado or anything, there has to be a written plan of who's putting them away and where they're going. So the wheeled equipment is limited to equipment and carts in use and medical emergency equipment not in use, such as isolation and crash carts and patient lift and transport equipment. Now, all of this is in the life safety code at 6 inches. ADA requirements are 4 inches, and that's what CMS is going to be going off of. So, and this one's kind of funny to me. This is a new change. You can have fixed furniture as long as it is securely attached to the wall or floor in a corridor.
Well, that'd be like the new tower in North Platte. They've got all their workstations in the hallway.
Oh.
Those are fixed to the wall.
Yeah.
Before they weren't allowed.
Right. Well, those fall under a different code because those are workstations. This is actually talking about couches and chairs, stuff like that. Your corridor must be 8 foot in width, and your furniture can't cut that down to less than 6 foot. So it's limited to one side of the corridor. It can't be bigger than 50 square feet, and once you get to that 50 square feet, you have to have 10 feet before you have another section of it. It cannot obstruct access to the building, services, and fire protection equipment, as well as electrical, and they must have smoke detection to even be eligible for that. So this is basically a little illustration they brought out. your furniture can only be on one side of the hall. Your carts can be on either side of the hall, but they can't cut it down to less than 5 feet, so they can be straight across from one another. But in the event of a fire, you would have to get rid of all of those blue circles. That would be somebody's job, so I'm not sure we want to get into that.
The fire marshal said to keep doing what we already do, which is eliminate anything in the halls. Except for, we understand the isolation cards, but once you have fire drill, they're to be moved to an empty room. But they're stating, leave it as it is, don't need to replay it like this, because it's just gonna wreak havoc.
And that's the problem with a lot of these life safety codes, is they're written for healthcare occupancies, but most of them are more geared towards long-term care. The suites, right now, doors within suites are not required to latch, but they can't be a means of egress in a fire either. So we don't really have any suites here, so it's not a big deal to us. Sleeping suites, that's all the same as what we've always had. We don't really have a lot of patient care, non-sleeping areas. We don't have anything that's classified as a suite at all. So, basically, what this non-patient care suites is like, if you had a business office or medical records that you wanted to turn into a suite that you didn't want to have to meet healthcare life safety codes with, you could file for that to be a suite, and you wouldn't have to meet any life safety codes. It would be a business occupancy at that point, which we don't fall under that because we don't have enough room. On our alcohol-based hand rubs, life safety code is going to allow aerosol containers up to 18 ounces. Your hand rubs must be installed at least 1 inch horizontally from any ignition switch. It used to be 6 inches. I'm not real sure why they cut that down to 1 inch, but they did. So, and touch-free is permitted. The one thing the fire marshal showed us over in North Platte is, and a lot of people don't understand just how easy it is to catch that hand sanitizer on fire, but he poured some on top of a cup, and it was carpeted, and he just rubbed his foot and then touched it and lit it on fire. So be really careful with that stuff. Nothing's changed for our cooking facilities. One of the big things when we done our upgrade and we got sprinkled was whether we had to put sprinklers in our closets in our rooms or not. There was really no clear definition at that time. Now there is. If the closet does not exceed 6 square feet, you do not have to have them. In our rooms where we have cubicle curtains, they have to be at least 18 inches down from the ceiling, and they have to have half-inch diagonal mesh that provides 70% open area. We don't have any of those. Delayed egress, they have changed this. We don't have any here, but if you've ever been to the Hester home, you've seen them doors. You got to hold them for 15 seconds and then they'll open. Used to be you could only have one of those in a egress hall. Now you can have multiples. So, see it changes everything for us. If we were to build some bariatric rooms, the little door on the side that opens up to give you a wider door opening, it used to be that you could use latches that you manually had to flip open to open it, flip them down to close it. Now they have to be positive self-latching, which means when you shut that door, they close themselves. This one kind of in the life safety code, if you build new rooms for patients, you do not have to have a window in that room. That's what life safety code says. CMS came back and said, we don't like that, so they put it back in, so on your surveys, you better have room windows. The only exception to that is newborn nurseries and rooms that are occupied for less than 24 hours. This is another one, life safety code. Extended the time of fire watch to 10 hours, which means if your fire sprinklers are down, if you have a leak, if they're working on them, you can be down up to 10 hours in a 24-hour period before you have to start watching. Again, CMS come back, said we don't like that, so they left the 4 hours in there. So if you're going to be down for 4 hours, you're going to do a fire watch, 24-hour fire watch. Our door inspections, this is a new one. Any fire rated door is required to be inspected annually. The only thing they've really said is that the testing of that door or window will be performed by individuals with knowledge and understanding of the operating components. There's no clear direction of what that means. Does it mean somebody that's been trained by a manufacturer, or anyone that understands the door can work on it? So we're working on getting that squared away right now. This is another one of the new changes, and to me this is more for long-term care facilities than it is us, but they're going to allow fireplaces. You have two options. They can be a direct vent gas fireplace. It cannot be in a patient room, and it must have a sealed glass front. Controls for it have to be locked in a restricted location, and you have to have CO2 detection. The other choice you would have is an actual wood-burning fireplace. And that has to be separated from patient rooms by a 1 hour fire-rated constructed wall. It has to have a 4-inch Herb tempered glass front that will withstand 650 degrees in CO protection. That, to me, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but they're allowing it. Really. Your curtains, any curtains we have in here, they have to meet requirements of the NFPA. Except for that does not apply to curtains at showers and baths, patient room windows, and other rooms where the curtains meet both individual curtains, or where both curtains meet. It can't exceed over 48 square feet, and it can't be over 20% of the aggregate wall area. Combustible decorations, we really don't allow them. So if you wanted to have them, they still have to meet the space requirements and the NFPA and the fire test ratings. What they're classifying as combustible decorations are photographs, paintings, and art attached directly to walls and ceilings on non-fire rated doors. On the non-fire rated doors, they're not required to be flame retardant. It cannot interfere with the operation of the door, and it cannot exceed 30% of the wall, ceiling, or door in our place, because we're fire rated, so you can do 30%, and it cannot exceed 50% of the wall in a sleeping room. We don't do recycling containers. Power strips, that's always our fire marshal's big pet peeve.